December 22, 1947, Krakow, Poland. The former staff of Auschwitz, the deadliest German Nazi concentration camp, hears their sentences read. After a month of gruesome testimonies, it is revealed that many SS officers were involved in the acts of inhumane torture and the mass murder of prisoners, often for pleasure, and that their cruelty went far beyond what their superiors ordered them to do. One of the perpetrators of this criminal Nazi regime is August Bogusz. August Bogusz was born on the 5th of August 1890 in Lubliniec, then part of the German Empire. He was a clerk by profession, and in June 1921 he married Eugenie Mandl. In October 1932, Bogusz joined the Nazi Party, and in April 1933 he joined the SS. The SS, Schutzstaffel, or protection squads, was originally established in April 1925 to protect Adolf Hitler and other Nazi leaders and speakers, and provide security for political meetings. SS members were subject to strict military discipline and swore an oath of complete loyalty to Hitler and those appointed by him. Afterward, in January 1929, Heinrich Himmler became the head of the SS, and the organization greatly expanded in size and strength. By the time Hitler came into power in 1933, Himmler had made the SS the dominant organization within the Reich. From the beginning of the Nazi regime, Hitler entrusted the SS first and foremost with the removal and eventual murder of political and so-called racial enemies of the regime. The SS became a virtual state within a state in Nazi Germany, and was staffed by men who perceived themselves as the racial elite of the Nazi future. From 1939, the SS assumed responsibility for solving the so-called Jewish question, which then culminated in 1941 when the leadership planned, coordinated, and directed the so-called final solution. This solution was the genocide of European Jews during World War II, also known as the Holocaust. SS officers were directly responsible for the management of concentration camps, where millions of Jews were murdered by poison gas. In one such camp, Buchenwald, August Bogusz arrived in August 1939, 1 month before the outbreak of the Second World War. Established in July 1937, Buchenwald was one of the largest concentration camps established within German borders. The camp played an important role in the aftermath of Kristallnacht, which occurred on the 9th and 10th of November 1938, when the Nazi leaders unleashed a series of coordinated violent riots against the Jews throughout Nazi Germany and recently incorporated territories. The Nazi SA and German civilians not only ransacked Jewish homes, businesses, synagogues, hospitals and schools, but the German SS and police sent almost 30,000 Jewish males to concentration camps. 10,000 of them were sent to Buchenwald, where upon arrival, camp authorities subjected them to extraordinarily cruel treatment. Over 250 of these prisoners died as a result of the injuries incurred during these arrests or from their initial mistreatment at the camp. Prisoners lived in the Buchenwald main camp, which was surrounded by an electrified barbed wire fence, watchtowers, and a chain of sentries outfitted with automatic machine guns. At the entrance to the camp, there was a notorious punishment block known as the bunker, where prisoners who violated the camp regulations were punished and often tortured to death. In addition to the punishment block, the main camp included 33 wooden barracks, disinfection buildings, a brothel, and a crematorium. Most of the early inmates at Buchenwald were political prisoners, people who had been arrested for some form of political opposition to the Nazi regime. One such prisoner was Ernst Thälmann. Before Hitler's rise to power in 1933, Thälmann had been the chairman of the Communist Party of Germany. However, in 1933, he was arrested by the Nazi regime, and in August 1944, the SS staff murdered Thälmann in Buchenwald after holding him there for several years. In addition to political prisoners and Jews, Buchenwald prisoners also included repeat offenders, Jehovah's Witnesses, Sinti and Roma, and German military deserters. August Bogusz left Buchenwald in January 1941, shortly before a number of physicians and scientists began to carry out a program of medical experimentation on the camp's prisoners. On the 27th of the same month, he arrived in Auschwitz, which was located in German-occupied Poland, where he first served as a guard. Bogusz became known for his incredible hatred towards the Polish prisoners, whom he used to call such names as Polish swine and bandits. Among the Auschwitz prisoners, whom he would beat for the smallest violations of the rules, he had the reputation of a stupid, rapacious, and sneaky man. He blackmailed the inmates, demanding things and services that he had no right to, and if a prisoner refused or there was any delay, Bogusz reported the prisoner, which entailed severe punishment. He was infamous for skillfully using his whip to make the inmates suffer as much as possible. On a few occasions, he would place the prisoners over a special construction called the goat and punish them with 25 lashes with a whip. While the prisoners were beaten, they had to count out the blows in German, and if they made a mistake, the counting and beating began again. When he finished, an inmate had to stand up and say thank you in German. Bogusz would flog the prisoners with a smile on his face, and his blows were especially strong and painful. Sometimes Bogusz did not administer the punishment himself, but would send inmates to a notorious penal company to which the prisoners were assigned for various reasons, including escape attempts, contact with civilians, or the illegal possession of food, money, and additional clothing. Assignments to the penal company, situated in the infamous Block 11, which was led by the sadistic Otto Moll, lasted from 1 month to 1 year, and the prisoners were not only completely isolated, but had to perform the hardest labor and were continually beaten by the SS men and prisoner functionaries. On one occasion, Bogusz pulled a female Polish prisoner by the collar and took her to the penal company, where she received a punishment of 25 lashes with a whip. After the war, the prisoner testified that the reason for the punishment was that she had accepted food from people when working outside the camp. Another of Bogusz's specialties was hitting the prisoners in the face and kicking them. Once, a Jew was hanged in the camp for an escape attempt. After the execution, Bogusz terrorized the other prisoners, calling one of them over to the gallows and threatening to hang him too. When the prisoner resisted, Bogusz hit him in the face. At Auschwitz, he also worked as a block leader. Bogusz watched the prisoners all the time, checking to see if they were working hard enough, and would constantly push them to work even harder. He did not allow any of them to go to the toilet, nor did he allow any consumption of even a scant amount of bread during working time, stating that they could do so after finishing their work. Bogusz also took part in selections on the rail ramp and actively participated in taking prisoners, especially Jews and those who were sick, to the gas chambers. During these actions, especially when unloading transports and loading victims on the trucks to be murdered, Bogusz was extremely brutal and was often seen beating and kicking them. During the German occupation of Poland, the London radio announced that Bogusz had already been sentenced to death by the Polish underground. In mid-January 1945, as Soviet forces approached the Auschwitz concentration camp complex, the SS began evacuating Auschwitz and its subcamps. SS units forced nearly 60,000 prisoners to march west from the Auschwitz camp system. Prisoners suffered from the cold weather, starvation, and exposure during these death marches. On the 21st of January 1945, August Bogusz joined the escort of such a death march, and along with other SS guards, drove the prisoners to Wodzisław, which was located 70 kilometers away from Auschwitz. On the way, he beat the prisoners and ordered the SS men to shoot on the spot those inmates who, due to exhaustion, could not march any further. Out of the 300 prisoners who left Auschwitz on this particular death march, 100 were shot along the way. Bogusz was then sent to Misen concentration camp near Oslo in German-occupied Norway. Soon after, in February 1945, he was transferred again to the Buchenwald camp, and finally to Gusen, which was a subcamp of the Mauthausen concentration camp in Austria. Established in May 1940, the Gusen site had attracted the SS because of its proximity to the stone quarries. Gusen retained its autonomous status until early 1944. It had its own numbering system, death registry, SS Guard battalion, and a postal administration. Living and working conditions in Gusen, as in Mauthausen, were harsh, which led to the death, by murder, mistreatment, starvation, exposure and disease of more than half of the prisoners. In December 1940, the SS had already ordered the construction of a crematorium inside Gusen to handle the disposal of the bodies of the dead. While initially the SS deployed prisoners in construction of the camp and in the Gusen and Kastanov stone quarries, during 1943 the SS deployed Gusen prisoners increasingly in armament production. By the end of 1944, some 6,000 prisoners worked in 18 factory halls in Gusen, producing rifles, machine guns, and aircraft motors. The stress on armaments production brought some benefits to the prisoners in 1943 and 1944. The SS authorities increased rations, allowed packages with food and medicine to come in from the outside, and issued additional vouchers for especially productive workers. In 1944, with the danger from Allied bombing increasing, the Gusen camp authorities deployed thousands of prisoners to build the underground tunnels, which housed the armaments production sites. Like other concentration camps in the interior of the German Reich, Gusen was the destination for thousands of concentration camp prisoners in 1945. In January and February 1945, the SS forcibly evacuated thousands of prisoners to Gusen from Auschwitz, Gross-Rosen, and Sachsenhausen. Most of the new arrivals were Jews. In February 1945, shortly before August Bogusch arrived in the camp, Gusen reached its peak capacity of just over 26,000 prisoners. More than 10,000 prisoners died in Gusen between January and May 1945, including 4,500 prisoners who were shipped back to Mauthausen to die. During the month of April, capos, acting on the orders of the SS, beat several hundred prisoners to death. At the end of the month, in one of the last gassing operations in the Third Reich, the SS murdered 650 ill prisoners with poison gas in a barracks. In early May 1945, some in the SS and in the Upper Austrian Nazi Party leadership toyed with the idea of forcing the surviving prisoners into the underground tunnels dug for the armaments industry and caving the tunnels in with explosives. However, neither the SS nor the Nazi Party zealots carried out these plans. Gusen concentration camp was liberated by the US soldiers on the 5th of May 1945. They found some 20,000 prisoners who were sick and starved. In the confusion during the liberation, prisoners, enraged by the killings perpetrated by the capos and barracks elders the previous month, killed a number of prisoners who had served as capos, room elders, or other types of auxiliary service to the SS staff. Over the course of its existence, some 35,000 of a total of over 60,000 registered prisoners were killed in Gusen. After the end of the war, August Bogusch was finally to face justice and pay for his crimes. He was captured by the Allies and handed over to the Polish authorities. Bogusch was tried at the Auschwitz trial, which began in November 1947 and lasted 1 month. On the 22nd of December 1947, the Polish Supreme National Tribunal in Krakow sentenced Bogusch to death by hanging. He was 57 years old when he was executed on the 28th of January 1948. There were no tears shed for August Bogusch. Thanks for watching the World History Channel. Please help us to create more videos by clicking on the donation link. Thank you, and see you next time on the channel.